Have you ever wondered why we feel that something is not right in the world? It's as if we were disconnected, lost, as if there were a frequency, an ancient vibration that once guided everything, and now it has disappeared. What if I told you that this disconnect isn't a mistake? What if it's the result of a wave? A real, cosmic, ancient wave. A tide that began before any clock, too slow to be noticed, too deep to be ignored. It traverses eras, brushes against civilizations, extinguishes internal compasses, and when it passes, it leaves behind a painful silence. They called it the era, the epoch, the yuga, the night of the world. I call it a souvenir, because every wave takes away and gives back. It brings certainties, but it also raises questions. It takes away distractions, but restores a hunger for meaning. The discomfort you feel at 3 in the morning, it's her echo. Anxiety without a name, it's the interval between heartbeats. Perhaps we are not broken. We are being tuned. Perhaps the emptiness is not a lack. It is space for return. When that wave rises again, who will we be? Will we run from the current? Or will we learn to listen to what's happening deep down? If you feel this calling, you are not alone. You are tuning in. And the question is not, why are we lost? But where does this ancient wave want to take us? That has been traversing the universe for billions of years, and now it has reached us. If that's true, then our thoughts have a tide. Sometimes they rise up in courage, sometimes they retreat in silence. Can you feel it? It's like a subtle tug on the back of your chest, an adjustment to the rhythm of your soul. This wave doesn't speak loudly. It thins out. It stirred internal compasses, disrupted comfortable roots, and ignited old questions. That's why the rush seems hollow, and the noise of the world no longer fills the void. Perhaps it's the same vibe that launched stars, the one that whispers in the atoms, the one that ages galaxies and matures consciousness. When she plays it, memories we didn't live through are awakened. It's as if we've been summoned to something we forgot to accept. And then we understand the lost part. It's not a mistake, it's a crossing. We stand between the margins, what we were and what we still dare not to be. You can either numb the call or listen, because every wave brings a choice. Resist until it breaks, or learn to surf. If it has reached us, it is not the end. It is the beginning of the return. The question changes. It's not where are we, but who will we become when this tide finally rises? In 1977, NASA captured something that no one has been able to explain. A radio signal coming from nowhere. 72 seconds. A single breath in the darkness, a frequency close to that of hydrogen, the mother tongue of stars. On the printed paper, a scientist circled in red and wrote, "Wow," because sometimes when the universe speaks, there isn't a technical word good enough. Then, silence. There was no replay, no hello, no goodbye. It was just the feeling that a door had opened, and closed too quickly for the human eye. Where did it come from? Sagittarius? The heart of the galaxy? Or from some place we don't have maps of, only omens? The strangest thing wasn't the sign, that's what he ignited within us. As if something ancient, muffled under centuries of noise, had remembered to breathe. A subtle vibration that stirs our internal compasses, shifts roots, and refines our questions. What if it wasn't a message, but the trail of a tide? A real, cosmic, ancient wave sweeping through space for billions of years. And on that day, crossing our orbit, brushing against our consciousness, scraping our instruments. Perhaps that's why we feel lost. It's not a mistake. It's a crossing. We stand on the edge of infinity, our feet already touching an ocean we cannot name. The signal from 1977 did not end. He continues with what has changed here inside, in the restlessness that doesn't go away, in the desire to understand what calls to us, with the feeling that there is music playing behind the noise of the world. And if you listen carefully, you can still feel the tide rising, just 72 seconds. But with an intensity that made scientists write, "Wow!" 72 seconds that cut through the silence of the space like a thin blade, a whisper on the radio, a roar for the soul. There was no manual, there was no protocol, there was a mark on the paper, a red circle, and a collective shiver. Why, wow? Because when the universe decides to speak, language is embodied. It's skin that tingles, eyes that search, a mind that trembles. It was too short to explain, long enough to divide time into before and after. Perhaps it wasn't a message. It was the tide lapping against the shore, the trace of an ancient, real, cosmic ancestral wave, an invisible finger knocking at the door of human consciousness. Pen, memory awakens. Since then, we carry the echo of those seconds with us, an urgency we don't know how to name, a calling that cannot be contained in formulas. As if the wow wasn't already on paper. If it were in here, repeating itself in a whisper, something is coming. Shut up. The wave has arrived. What if the wrong place wasn't a point in the sky, but a point in time? What if the question wasn't, where did it come from, but where did it go inside us? Telescopes search for light, radio telescopes frequencies, but what if this wave doesn't want to be seen, but rather remembered? What if her medium is not a vacuum, but consciousness? The ancients didn't build antennas. They built silence, pyramids, mantras, stone circles, listening devices for the inner self. They weren't hunting for messages. They were tuning the instrument. Perhaps we were expecting a repeated hello, when the true sign is a persistent misalignment. Insomnia at 3 in the morning, a feeling of exile in one's own body, strange synchronicities that refuse to be coincidence. Because if the wave is real, it doesn't crash, it tunes in. Don't shout, reorganize. It doesn't need to be repeated, it needs to resonate. So what if we're looking at a map of the cosmos, what only appears on the map of the soul? What if the answer isn't in another galaxy, but in the interval between two thoughts? Where does the world become quiet enough for the ancient tide to touch? Because the ancients already knew. Ancient civilizations spoke of an age of loss, a time when humanity would turn away from the sound of creation. Egyptians, Mayans, Hindus, they all pointed to a cycle, a cosmic cycle, where an energy wave would pass through the earth and reorganize consciousness. Is this what's happening now? The Egyptians spoke of times of forgetfulness and rebirth, when the inner sun died only to be reborn. The Maya mapped great counts like tides of the sky, opening and closing gateways between eras. In Hindu tradition, the yugas herald long nights and inevitable dawns, consciousness contracts, and then expands. Do you see the pattern? For them, time wasn't a line, it was breath. Inspire, we remember. It expires, we forget. And in the interim, the tide changes everything. When this wave passes, symbols lose their power, paths become misaligned, and the stories we tell ourselves become insignificant. It's not the world breaking apart, it's the shell cracking. The mind resists, the body senses, the heart hears an ancient noise. Return to the original tone. Perhaps that's why so many people feel out of place, with more vivid dreams, stubborn synchronicities, a sense of nameless calling. It's not nostalgia, it's memories returning. It's not fear, it's a warning that the terrain has changed. What if this cycle is repeating itself? What if the age of loss is not punishment, but a journey, the necessary descent before the ascent? If that's true, we don't need to rush, we need to fine-tune, because civilizations erected stone, song, and calculation to leave us a simple message. When the old wave hits, remember. Remember who you are beneath the noise. Remember the music before the words. So I ask you, if the tide is rising now, you will hold on until you break. Or are you going to learn how to surf the return? Like the video, share it with anyone who needs to hear this, and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Which one was it, and what city are you from? In 2004, physicist Paul Laviolette suggested something that seemed absurd. An invisible but powerful galactic wave is traveling from the center of the Milky Way to us. He called it a galactic superwave. It wouldn't be light, it would be tide. An ancient pulse of energy and particles, silent, constant, too large to fit into our alarms. The kind of thing that doesn't ask for permission, it just walks through and rearranges things. What if, when this wave passes, the sun breathes differently? What if magnetic fields tremble like the strings of a forgotten instrument? What if interstellar dust falls upon us like fine ash, a reminder of fires in the heart of the galaxy? Some call this the forbidden hypothesis. I call it the question that refuses to die. What if this tide is real and is already affecting us? Think about the feeling of displacement you've had in recent years. My internal clock is out of sync. A feeling of aimless haste, followed by an emptiness that demands meaning. What if this isn't a human flaw, but a tuning effect? The superwave wouldn't need to destroy anything to change everything. She just needs to fine-tune it, adjusting the world's tone by a half step, and suddenly what once made sense is now out of tune. That's why some dreams become vivid, why encounters seem scripted, why coincidences multiply without asking permission. It's reality stamping its foot to keep time. It's the old tide touching our beach. Perhaps we are calling what is, at its core, a return to the original rhythm, chaos. Perhaps we are not lost. We are remembering. And if that's true, what are we going to do when the next crest of that wave crosses our orbit? To resist until we break, or to learn to surf the wave of who we are? The world seems to be falling apart, but what if it's the other way around? What if, beneath the cracks, a clearer form were emerging, not a new invention, but an ancient outline we'd forgotten to see? What if we're returning to an older truth? Plotinus said, "The soul remembers what it has forgotten." Perhaps that's what hurts now. Not the loss, but the return. The snap of a bone returning to its place. The discomfort of a light turning on in a room where we've spent too much time in the dark. The shock we feel is not because we are losing everything. That's because layers of noise are falling away. It's because we're about to remember who we are. And remembering isn't a sudden miracle. It's one step, then another. It's silencing the noise enough to recognize the sound of home. When the dust settles and the hissing fades, what remains isn't emptiness. It's the original frequency, steady, patient, calling our name. If this video gave you goosebumps, welcome to the awakening. You are not alone. There's an ancient wave sweeping through everything, silent, deep, and perhaps, just perhaps, it has come to reconnect us to something greater than ourselves. If you felt the calling, we're in this together. Like, share, and join the community. Here we investigate without fear, ask without concessions, and learn to listen to what has always been hidden beneath the noise. In the next episode, I'll show you what the ancients knew about the end of cycles, and why this could be the last moment before the restart. Breathe, adjust your tuning. The frequency is already arriving.